Hello. Hi, everybody, and welcome. So great to see everybody in the chat. Welcome to all the members. I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be a really fun and informative, and let's be honest, we're talking about Scientology, so also mortifying live stream, but you're here for it. I'm here for it. I'm Natalie. This is Scientology Life After a Cult, where we talk about the news that has the internet buzzing about Scientology. I share about my 35 years in, leaving with 3 generations of my family, and do collaborations throughout the week and interviews. So when you hit that subscribe button, you want to make sure you hit the notification bell as well, so get notifications when I'm going live and popping in like we're doing today. Today, we are talking about strange Scientology celebrity practices, and we're talking about it with other than Oh No Nora, which some of you may or may not know. She worked at the Celebrity Center as a Sea Org member. So she has a ton of the inside tea and can really speak on the differences between how an everyday Scientologist is treated versus the world of a celebrity Scientologist. Welcome, Nora. Great to have you back here again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I appreciate you, Nat. I appreciate you. Thank you.
I so love that you bring your own applause. I've got a thing that can do it, but I've just not slowed down enough to watch a YouTube video on how to get it to play through the thing.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, I got one of those fancy schmancy dealy bobs where you can do, all of the things. And I think it's just fun. I feel like, sometimes we need to have there's one that I will never play while I'm on the TV because this it's not going to do it now. That's fine. But there's a dog bark and other stuff, and I'm just like, you know what, let's not try that out, because and there's all kinds of toots and stuff, but
the ear is young.
But I do have my censor button ready, so if I drop some then I can do it, because you keep it very clean on your channel, and I appreciate you.
On the channel. The funny thing is, Nora knows better than anybody. The second I'm off the channel, it is just beep, 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 beep.
Yeah, but we don't have to beep it when we're just chit-chatting, because, we'll just let it fly, because that's, again, guys, we were raised in a cult. So apologies. That was just how people talked. Honestly, every religion has their own vernacular, their words. All the cuss words were our words.
That's right. They're very descriptive words. So it's good exercise, I find, to be able to kind of put that into practice. And, I've told Nora and I've told my guests, it's like I have a long-term plan, people, to grow the channel into this monster where no one can say no to me for an interview. And we can take this whole cult education thing so much further, because once Scientology is ended, we can take this knowledge we do all the time, Nora, that our experiences relate so much to other cult experiences and people in high control groups, as you recently learned a lot about when you went to that program you attended in Oregon.
That was intense. The safe cult kind of conference.
Yeah.
That was super intense and fun and educational. It was just overwhelming at the same time, because everything that you're dealing with cults is triggering when you're a survivor of a high control group, and to see it broken down piece by piece by piece was just you get a lot of mixed emotions. You get mixed emotions about your entire life, and you start thinking about, it's just a tidal wave of things that come over you, all these hindsight 2020 moments where you're like, could have done something about that. That was a red flag. This is a bad thing, and it's hard not to feel an overwhelming sense of guilt. Because, it's just you feel like you should have known at some point. Some point should have, been the thing. All these things are presented to you now because we have a wealth of knowledge being out, and we've been exposed to the real world, which is fantastic, and once you're in the real world, it's like Neo in the Matrix when you wake up for the first time, and you're just you can't go back. You can't.
No, you can't
reinsert yourself.
You can't. It was actually my children who helped me understand that people outside of Scientology swear and have potty mouths as well. But there's kind of a time and a place, and that's the part that I was missing. And I will never forget the day we moved into this neighborhood, and my kids were probably my son, I don't think he was born yet, so my girls were probably 6 and 8.
Yeah.
And I heard a noise, something happened, and I yelled something involving an F-bomb, which I didn't think twice about.
Right.
I look up, and there was a neighbor standing at the door with this mortified look on my face, and she just wanted to welcome us to the neighborhood.
Hi, I just escaped a cult. Apologies.
Yeah, and she ended up becoming a good friend of mine despite my bad habits. But then my daughter, who again was like 8, 9 years old at the time, she's like, "Mom, people out here don't swear like that all the time." And I was like, "Oh." So my kids and I did a lot of growing up together.
It's weird how they help you like that, because I think for a lot of us, and this science backs this up, that like at the point of a major trauma, you get like a mental pause at that point. And you get kind of stuck, at that kind of age or developmental stage and things like that. So for those of us who were heavily indoctrinated, especially in our teen years, there will be like points of, even as parents, and I'm willing to admit that publicly, where we just have like immaturity showing, where it's like, wait a minute, you're 48. Why are you acting like a teenager? Because I didn't get to. And it's just like, sometimes like my kids will get so embarrassed because I'll just like say whatever in front of their friends, and they're just like, their friends are like, "Oh my God." And my kids are like, "Yeah, welcome to dinner at our house. You don't ever have to come back. It's all right. She's always like this."
That's what they got their own therapy and stuff for. They too will figure it out.
I'm trying really hard to be the opposite of what I grew up with, at least. I don't know if it was the same in your house, but it was like my mom was so strict and so like just closed off to the rest of the world because, that person's not a Scientologist, and this person, their parents are psychiatrists or whatever. And so no, like just openness about important things. So we talk very openly about a lot of stuff. And I've told all my friends' kids, like, "Hey, listen, if you guys are ever like at a party or something and you are afraid to call one of your parents for whatever reason, because you think you're going to get in super big trouble, call them. Like, we will come get you." It's not like I'm hiding them from their parents. To just be like, "Come over, have a sleepover, sleep it off. We'll talk to your parents in the morning." Like, it's not a big deal. And as a result of like that openness, my kids are unbelievably straight arrow. Like, they are just, they come to me with like, "How do I help my friend who's in this situation with this, this, and this?" I'm like, that's something for the authorities. That sounds serious. That's for you to your team. But they are, like their eyes are open to stuff like that in a way that they don't think they're superheroes like we did. Like, they have all the answers and they are saving the planet and all this nonsense. But they know that there are solutions and they can ask for them. And I think that's really the difference, because we were like, "Oh, we got this. We will solve it."
That's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So this whole, speaking of like immaturity and things at times, one of the first questions that I have, because you worked at Celebrity Center, and for those that might not know, Celebrity Center in Scientology is where the celebrities go. Now, we're talking about people of influence, or at least who consider they have influence, or Scientology thinks you have influence, not just Hollywood actors. We're talking wealthy people, just even
doctors, lawyers,
what they would consider to be like, where they needed a little extra touch. Can you touch on what?
Yes.
See, we are stuck at 14.
Right? I know. See, I can't help it. All right. Yes. Extra touching.
What are some of the basic differences in
Mm,
the experience as a Scientologist? It would be a celebrity Scientologist versus a regular Scientology organization. Like if I went
sure.
into the Twin Cities organization versus if I were a public, let's not even get into the elite status people like Tom Cruise or
Right.
Elizabeth Moss. Let's just say your average celebrity Scientologist.
Sure.
What are some of the differences in that experience that separates out a celebrity center from a regular cult of Scientology?
Okay. First is you have a president's office, which in itself is like a whole other organization, right? So at a regular org, you have the executive director, and then you have the deputy executive director, and then you have all the other people that fall under that, right? At Celebrity Center, you have those posts as well, those jobs, but it would be commanding officer, deputy commanding officer. And then you have several other deputy commanding officers in the Sea Org, right? You have one for tech, you have one for admin. It's all this, like it trickled down. Now, at Celebrity Center, however, the commanding officer and the president are at the same level. So you
Mm,
have a post of president, Celebrity Center.
okay.
Right. And that's at all the celebrity centers. But at Celebrity Center International, those two are the highest ranking peeps. So the commanding officer is set with the task of running the organization. That's his, well, it's because I say his because it's Dave Pettit right now. That's his entire job. And traditionally, I don't know why, but the president has always been a woman. So it's like mom and dad of Celebrity Center, right? And so that was a tough situation. So the president's office is its own thing. It has its own autonomy to do whatever they need to do for a celebrity. They don't have to go through the commanding officer, Celebrity Center. They don't have it's completely separate. So if you are important enough to be in the president's office people selection, then you are high up. Or if they think you're a rising star or you know a lot of people with a lot of influence, then you're going to get into literally the gilded doors, the private office, the private entrance, all that kind of stuff. Okay. And you don't have to just be Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise gets a whole other thing. Nobody's even allowed into the president's office that day when he's coming. It's like only for him. Like everybody else, piss off. You cannot come in today unless Tom says, I'd like to see so-and-so, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you have separate course room. You have a separate auditing suite that's just for them. And that would be the same at all of the celebrity centers. And they have their own network of orgs around the world as well. So Celebrity Center is unique in that Celebrity Center is a class 5 org, which means they can only deliver processing the auditing side of the bridge up to clear. They don't do any other specialty stuff except for the Philadelphia doctor course. You have to go to a Celebrity Center to do that.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, that's the one thing that like, oh, you want to do the Philadelphia doctor course, then you got to go to Celebrity Center because that's the only place you can get it is at a Celebrity Center because that's been designated for creatives, for people who are important, who are expanding the world, right? So you have to go there to do it because you'll get the proper supervision and their specialists. It's a bunch of lectures where L. Ron is tripping on something, just talking out of his booty hole. Like that's it.
Yeah, no, he seriously is. He seriously is. Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
How does one, in my time when I was a public Scientologist, after I was in the Sea Org and I was doing Scientology, like at what point are you allowed to be online? It's like, it never occurred to me because I didn't have any status to go to Celebrity Center. But if you're a Scientologist who lives in the area and you're like, oh, you know what, I could walk to Celebrity Center in Hollywood versus drive to Big Blue on L1 Hubbard Way, could they do a service at Celebrity Center or was there any type of cutoff?
So Celebrity Center is supposed to be only for people who are already established or up and coming in their field, right? Who have the potential to have great influence on society.
Who makes that decision at
so
Celebrity Center?
You're supposed, like, Celebrity Center is kind of like a private club. So if you get sent there by a field staff member, let's say,
Mhm.
it's because they know you have the potential to have that influence. Like, for example, before I joined the SEERG there, I was a public there. The reason why I was a public there was I was working for the Scientology school, Lewis Carroll Academy of the Arts, which was owned by Devonna Lewis. She is, of course, the wife of Michael Lewis.
Mhm.
They are both power FSMs, but the children that were at the school were children of celebrities, also children of like non-Scientology celebrities and things like that, because it was like a breeding ground for acting and things like that. It was also a recruitment center for the Sea Org. Like, let's be honest, these kids were being recruited all the time, especially if they were Scientology kids. But a lot of like kids who were in Celebrity Center, Kids on Stage for a Better World with like Lindsay Bartleson and her brother Matt, and Erica Christensen was there for a while and things like that. They were all going to these local LA schools, and it was like a rivalry. Lewis Carroll was started by Devonna Lewis and what's her face, Carol.
Kingsley? Carol Kingsley?
Not Carol Kingsley, because that's Mace Kingsley. But there's a woman whose last name is Carol.
Oh, okay.
Marie Bilheimer's mom, and I can't remember her first name. But she started Lewis Carroll, and then Devonna and her had a falling out. And so she started her own rival, Carol Reese Academy. And then there's also Mace Kingsley, which was started by Carol Kingsley. These are all like little Scientology pods of nothing, no education, just BS, just total nonsense. So because I was working there, they decided, I was 18, guys. I had just graduated high school, and they decided to hire me as the PE and reading teacher. Because when you work in California in a private school, you do not have to have an accreditation, and you don't have to have a teaching degree if you're at a non-accredited school. So there you go. But they wanted me to get double posted in the
PE teacher, and did you say writing?
They wanted me to become the ethics officer.
Oh,
so I got sent to Celebrity Center because they had credits on the account to do the Introduction to Scientology ethics course, the like beginner course, to go do that so that I could be hatted as the ethics officer. And then I got recruited and joined the Sea Org after a few months of, being on course and being at the beautiful chateau of the center.
Because it is designed after this chateau. And I do recall when the Manor Hotel is something we don't talk a lot about. Is the Manor Hotel, it's like the hotel that's in there in the building.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the day, there was a period of time before all the renovations where I remember I actually had a roommate there and lived there while doing some like contracted work for Scientology. We were just kids living on our own. I remember going to the grocery store across the street, and for the first time buying like my own groceries, and realized I can buy any cereal I want.
The little freedoms we had, guys, the tiny freedoms. I can eat Lucky Charms every day.
Yeah. So it's an interesting how that setup really is very different, and how it's determined if you are good enough. Is there a way, was there ever a time when somebody was there on services, but people were like, oh, this guy, like, he really shouldn't be here? Was there a situation where that person was gotten rid of?
No, look, here's the deal. Most of the public who are not super celebrities are not supposed to be there. Like, they came in via an acting class, and then they're working at the Cheesecake Factory. Okay. Like, they're not acting, they're not active. What ends up happening is as long as the people are, well, there's no reason to try and put this delicately. As long as they're good looking and they have money, then it's okay for them to be there.
Because it's very much a vibe of appearance and how things look, which is a theme in Scientology. It's all about putting lipstick on a pig and putting something out there to try and make it look as attractive and normal as possible. To the point that it might look attractive at times because you have these nice buildings and this, beautifully printed literature, but then you have these like culty vibes and actions that are going on.
Yeah, we would just shuffle the people. Like if somebody wasn't really our vibe, we would just get them over to LA Org, or we would get them to, Esho.
Yeah, you'd send
was
them
like
over.
you're not quite pretty enough to be here. Please leave. AO was like a legitimate place that people would go after they were clear, because they had to go OT. Right. So that was the next thing. And then they would be at AO, but we would make them come back to us for course. Like, no. You're not going to do your courses at AO. It was very competitive. But if the person was just sort of, what we consider downstat, grody to the max, then we would somehow, be like, you know what? We've written a new program for you. It's called the briefing course.
Yeah.
And we don't do that. We don't deliver that. So bye.
That's a smart way of doing
money that you put on account here, and maybe one day we'll let you back to use it.
Yeah, that's right. Or maybe we'll transfer it. There was always that thing.
Yeah. We'll transfer it
on account. Wow.
Nobody ever transferred money on account to another org. Are you joking?
It was always just a paper transfer. It was never, the money actually never changed hands like that.
No.
Yeah. And they have the restaurant there. And I remember for a hot minute, I worked in the restaurant. It was my first.
You went to the Renaissance?
I worked at the Renaissance.
Oh my goodness.
Hot minute. I was a waitress there.
In the Sea Org or after?
Oh no, it was before I was trying to get into the Sea Org. I was still like a staff member in Hawaii. I had this like kind of a dead period in a ways, but I still needed to support myself. So
yeah.
I didn't have a place to live, so I was living there. I don't even remember what we paid for rent. And then I also worked in the restaurant. That's how I got to meet Lisa Marie Presley. And you'd see celebrities around there.
Oh yeah.
And my mother later on was working at the Manor Hotel back when they would hire non-Sea Org staff members. So I'd come and gone. And then later as a public, my mom would stay at the Manor Hotel when she was doing service at the Advanced Org of Los Angeles. And so I had stayed there with her a couple of times. In fact, my water broke with my daughter in one of the rooms at the Manor Hotel post renovations.
Yeah.
But when you're there, so things are set up differently.
Oh yeah.
Where, like you said, where celebrities higher end celebrities will come through the president's office. They don't always walk through the front door. I've noticed in my time when I was in Scientology that different celebrities really behave differently. And I guess people behave differently. But here you have somebody like Tom Cruise, where you couldn't even be on the elevator. They would lock it down.
I have two amazing stories about Tom Cruise in the elevator. One, he showed up and he was walking around with his, with Tommy Davis, who was like the celebrity guy back in my day. And they were going to, I think they were trying to go to the PRF to look at it or something for some reason. So they get in there's two elevators in CC. There's the staff elevator, and then there's the big, brass door elevator that is literally like from the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s. It takes forever to go anywhere. It just is really old. And so him and Tommy are in the elevator and they push the button and they were trying to go, or maybe up to the 7th floor or something, to the premiere suite. And the doors open, because they often did that. And standing in front of the doors, for some reason, somebody at the Manor had booked a tour for the Catholic girls' school down the street. And there is just a gaggle of Catholic schoolgirls. And the doors open. And who's standing in front of them? Tom Cruise. And these girls like take a beat, because these doors are literally the slowest doors in the world. And Tom is like pushing the door close button like this, and the doors are just open. And Tom's like, "Hi," and the girls like just let out a guttural scream in unison, like, "Oh my god!" And the tour guide is like, "Okay, we're just gonna stay here for a second," And Tom's like, "All right." That was like, they had to get that off as like an overt during staff meeting that Tom had been, accosted by teen girls in the lobby. Like, what a flap. What a flap. Like, why was he seen in the elevator? What's funny is that he's never seen in places that are Scientology, unless it's an event right? Where he's meant to bring people. He only brought people a couple times to the gala because he doesn't even come to the gala every time.
And tell people what the gala is.
So, the Celebrity Center Gala is a big posh, I'm going to describe it to you as they describe it, a 5-star outdoor dining event. Dine underneath the stars with the stars. That's what they used to say, right? So they turned the upper parking lot into an outdoor dining room that they also use the pavilion as well for like entertainment and other seats. But the pavilion seating you have to pay extra for, and then there's a cordoned off just celebrity only area, and then there's general seating. And it takes about a week to set up this space. You have to kick all of your paying public out of your only parking lot that only guys parks like 50 cars. It's not a big parking lot. It's stupid dumb. And you have to tell them, nope, you can't park in here. There's no parking around Celebrity Center, guys. There's none. So they have to figure out parking and still make it to course on time. So they got to get there like a half an hour early so they can walk to course, right? Then you lay down this black carpet. They put in the little poshy tables, and they charge people like $5,000 a table. At the time, I think in the 90s, it was like $3,000 a table, $2,500 for 8 people. This was a lot of money in the 90s. Now it's probably $10,000 a table to show up, and you get to sit and eat this food that is catered. We get, expensive chefs to come in. One year there was like a sushi bar, which was amazing. Yeah. And then you get to have the chance. Maybe you'll see a super big celebrity. And then the whole thing is just basically one big fundraising event.
Yeah.
The Celebrity Center makes more money off of that event than like all the other orgs combined for the year.
Whoa.
That event, because it's so elite, it's so exclusive. You have photo ops, all this kind of crap. There's a lot of footage of Leah talking there. They would film the celebrities doing stand-ups, talking about how great Scientology is and all this stuff. And in 2 of Leah's stand-ups, you see me walk by behind her in my gown.
Ooh.
My gown attire, because we all had to wear these ball gowns. That was the other thing. All the staff was in ball gowns. And then
because it's a gala.
Oh yeah. And we had to go on a diet before the gala, guys.
Stop.
They would hold a muster a month before the gala and be like, the following people are on a diet, and read your fucking name. Fuck.
No,
I didn't push the right button. We're 27 minutes in. I'm sorry. That was 4 F-bombs. We're probably okay now. But yeah, one year, I mean, guys, I must have been, I don't know. I mean, I went from like a size 8 to like a size 9. Okay. Like, sue me. I was 20. Okay. And they were like, they read my name off the list. And first I thought it was a joke. Like I went up to the person and I was like, I'm sorry, did you actually say my name at this meeting? And they're like, yeah, you have to go on a diet. You are not looking good. You need to trim it down. So they put us all on what was called the General Motors diet. Okay. The General Motors diet, guys, if you Google it, is disgusting. It consists of a cabbage tomato soup. You can eat that as much as you want. You can have 85 bowls of that a day. And then every day, like that's your only thing for breakfast though. And then at lunch you have one additional thing, and at dinner you have one additional thing. But every day it's a different thing. So one day it'll just be potatoes. The next day it'll be just beef. The next day it'll be just broccoli and this fakakta cabbage soup.
Oh my God.
I lasted 2 days on this diet and then I almost passed out. Like I'm trying to do my job. I would eat like 6 bowls of it at lunch, and then standing at muster and running upstairs, I was like, I'm starving. I'm going to pass out. So I came up with my own diet. I called it the FU, diet. And so I ate nothing but Snickers and Mama Celeste pizzas, frozen pizzas that I bought from Gelson's across the street, and ran 2 miles in the morning and 2 miles in the afternoon, and did a bunch of other exercises, a little exercise regimen that I designed for myself. And I lost 20 pounds in a week. And I was like,
oh,
I know it's not good. So yeah, they made us lose all this weight because we have to fit in these gowns, because they just buy gowns. They don't like take your measurements. So if you don't fit in one of these gowns, then you're going to be a runner. You're going to get put in like a little baby tuxedo thing where you're running back and forth and you don't get to hobnob, right, with the celebrities, and you don't get to be in the pretty people places. So you have to be pretty.
I'm just shocked by that. I did not know that they made the staff diet.
Oh, yeah.
Prior to this event. That is crazy. That level of body shaming too. Like, and to do it in an unhealthy way. That is not even a healthy way to lose weight.
No, it's gross. And then throughout the year, they would basically judge you. You have to be part of the Celebrity Center uniform is full makeup. If you're a woman, you have to wear pantyhose because you're in a skirt. And you have to, like, they got those uniforms that you saw. If you're watching Mark Bunker's footage, there's a woman who comes out and she has like these, we had these horrible fake pearls, like the sheen would come off and you could see like the plastic underneath. And then these scoop neck shirts that, what was that Italian designer's name that left a while ago?
Was it Tiz's parents?
No, Flavio and whatever.
Yeah, wasn't it like the kids were Fabio and Tiziano?
Yeah. Yes, Tiziano's parents. So this Italian guy was, premier designer. He would design all of David Miscavige's, fancy suits.
Yeah.
And so he designed our uniforms. We were just so excited. We got this big designer. It's like little blue pinstripe. We look like we're from 1977, which was an upgrade from our dead lettuce ties that we had prior to that, and the sloppy Joe see-through shirts that was like, didn't matter what brassiere you put on, everyone was going to see it. I mean, I'll never forget somebody, before we had the new uniforms, somebody got in trouble because they were wearing a leopard print bra and you could see it through the shirt.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, these were the problems we had at Claudio Lugli. There we go. Yes. Thank you, Anna. Yeah. So Claudio designed these things, and the pants were so sheer, guys, that if you gained, like, you get your period and you get bloated, you sit down, you are splitting your entire crotch. I cannot tell you the amount of musters that I would be late for because I had to go to the dry cleaning room and get a sewing kit and like sew my own crotch up in the pants because they had split just because I sat too quickly.
Whoa, that is crazy.
Oh, no, it was awful. There was so much body shaming at CC because you had to remain beautiful. You had to remain fresh-faced and like, looking right, or you wouldn't be allowed.
Was the makeup an everyday thing or just for events?
No, every day. You would get a KR, a chit written on you if you didn't have your lipstick on. One time I got told, you're out of uniform. You don't have makeup on. And I was like, well, I don't have any makeup. I don't do that. And they're like, go cross the street, go get some makeup. So I went across the street, and this is when I was a recruiter. So I'm in my like full Class A, the Stolen Valor fake Space Navy uniform. And there's a little tiny beauty shop, like literally one aisle in it. And I'm in there and I'm like putting lipsticks on my hand. I had my friend Leah was there, not Leah Remedy, a different Leah. And I'm like, which one do you think is gonna, because that's how when we were kids in the 90s, you put them all in your hand and you're like, is this good? Is this good? And I hear this voice behind me. And I'm like, oh my God, that's Gwyneth Paltrow, because I had seen Shakespeare in Love. And then she was shopping with her then boyfriend, Brad Pitt, for a hairdryer. They're in this like teeny tiny hole in the wall. And I'm like, Leah, it's Brad Pitt. She goes, who? And I'm like, it's Brad Pitt. Oh, haven't you seen any movie ever? And he was so beautiful. He was so gorgeous. But yeah, like I bought a lipstick. I was fine. I bought like the wine colored one that was so in the 90s. You remember that like deep, like red wine, Cabernet color that like everybody wore. And even if it wasn't their color, they're just be like, I'm going to put this on. This works. Yeah.
It was so crazy too that do you think that the celebrities that were there had any idea about this idea that you needed to look a certain way to fit in? I mean, when you think about, I just can't even imagine out in the regular world where you're saying, okay, you're going to need to drop some weight. You have to wear makeup, that is a requirement, especially today. And we're not talking that long ago.
Yeah.
Do you think that these rules still
Oh,
exist?
yes.
Whoa.
100% at Celebrity Center, because we knew it wasn't a rule of pack,
Well,
right?
definitely not. I'd never heard of that.
And that's why Celebrity Center got the, the reputation for being so snobby, right? Everyone was like, "Oh, you're a Celebrity Center Barbie," because like I'd never looked like Barbie, guys, but back in the day, prior to having children's and prior to, herniating 2 discs in my back, I was skinny. Back in my day. And we all were, there was a few fluffy people at Celebrity Center, but they were, for the most part, unless they somehow got onto like a high technical post because they were really good at that, they were basement people. We put them in the basement.
They were kept out of sight. I do recall that to a degree. I know that the higher you go up in the Sea Org, it's like, especially to go to the international base, you could not be overweight.
Nope.
You had to be cute. It's just like, who made these decisions? When you think about, when you look at all of this, and you might go like, okay, back in the day, what was it, the 60s, 70s, when flight attendants were maybe even longer, were kept to, a certain weight, all those things, right? It's different today in society. The social contract around this has changed. Yet here is Scientology still enforcing a standard of what they consider beauty, femininity to be, or what it means to be a woman. Oh, you're a female, therefore you have to wear makeup.
Because otherwise you have to demonstrate that femininity. Celebrity Center's motto is real celebrities deserve the best in staff and service and image. So if you were not living up to the best in all of those categories, you're a flunk. So it was very, very strict. You had to always not only be good looking, be on time, be the most example of a Sea Org member of, and have the best customer service of all time. Because if, for example, like one of our celebrities was at AOLA, right, getting auditing there because they were doing their OT levels, right? And they came back and remarked to the president, just, like as people do when they're having a conversation. She's like, "Oh, how was AO today? How was your session? Oh my God, my auditor was so amazing." And afterwards, we went and she took me to the cafe. And you know what they have at the cafe at PAC that we don't have here? And they would like remark about some snack that they got. That would cause a chain of events for everybody between the president. Everybody who's ever worked with this celebrity would be called over the coals because they didn't deliver this kind of service. And why didn't we know about this snack? And then people in the Manor Hotel are now like running laps on decks because they didn't have the snack in the cafe that so-and-so likes. Like, how come they have something we don't have? Now, not only are we going to have it, we're going to make it in-house in the Renaissance and we're going to do it gourmet. Like just ridiculous things like that. Because if anyone surpassed us in any shape or form, we had to, that's it. Just Hill 10 flap. Hill 10 guys in Scientology. If somebody's like, this is a Hill 10, basically it's a nuclear emergency in Scientology. So, we just would have like ridiculous things. Even Flag, as an example, which is supposed to be the Mecca of technical perfection, right? That's their motto, Mecca of technical perfection. Nobody is supposed to be better than Flag. We thought we were better than Flag. Like, F that standard, we're going to be better because we're the best, and we used to degrade everybody else out there. Like for some reason, Dave Pettit had a big beef with the commanding officer of ANZO, the Advanced Org in Australia. And her name was Moana. And he just hated her. Like, she was like our only competition, I guess, statistics wise in the 90s, because PAC was like a joke. We were just beating everybody. Yeah. So it was like we were competing against this entire network in Australia. And he would make songs up about Moana. He would like just like be awful. They drew like awful caricatures of her. And that was the first thing I thought of when that movie came out, when Moana came out.
Wow.
I was like, oh, I hope she's still alive and she can appreciate that her name is met with love now.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding.
Yeah. I mean, I think she left the Sea Org. I think that was a thing. I think she went to the RPF or something, and I can't remember.
Wow. Tell me this. So for celebrities, like there's a lot of Scientology services that I think about and I go, okay, there was a drill, for example, we would need to do where we had to do what was called an hypnosis drill,
Oh, yes.
or a tone scale drill where the coach and the student with a clipboard, you go outside and you train to spot people on the Scientology emotional tone scale together.
Right.
How does that work when you are a recognizable celebrity like, a Kirstie Alley, for example, and you're just going to, per the drill, you go out into the street and talk to real people? How do those things work for celebrities in Scientology?
Yeah, I mean, well, Tom Cruise did his PTSSP course originally at CC. He's probably done it like everybody who does it like 5 or 6 times now, because apparently that's the one course that you're meant to repeat every time you get ill. And so he was doing those drills and he wanted to go walk around the neighborhood, and security was like, absolutely not. Are you? No. We're not prepared for Tom Cruise just meandering around the Hollywood neighborhood right now. So they had him go into the HGC waiting room where there was regular people,
So, and again, for people who don't know, that's the Hubbard Guidance Center. It's where people go and wait between Scientology auditing sessions when you're the public.
Yeah. Yeah. So he goes in there and he sits down and he's like, what's the most obvious thing about me? Because that's one of the questions you ask when you're doing tone scale spotting. And the lady sitting there, she's like, ugh, like she's, like reading something, waiting to go in session. She's like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this. And she looks up and she goes, you're Tom Cruise. And he's like, yes, I am. But what's the most obvious thing about me? You're Tom Cruise. It was like he tried everybody and they were just like, oh my God, it's Tom Cruise! Like he couldn't get any other tones except for exhilaration.
Yeah.
Because people were just so excited to be sitting next to him, to be talking to him, which is a normal reaction, not just in Scientology, but I'm often asked by people like, you worked with a lot of celebrities. Are you intimidated by? Absolutely not. I'm not intimidated by any celebrity. The only celebrity that ever intimidated me in real life was never a Scientologist, and that was Samuel Jackson. I was 15 and I was at Jerry's Famous Deli with my dad and my sister, and there he was, just at the end of the counter, and I was like, oh, it's Samuel Jackson, and I just like, and my sister and I were just like this, like. Staring at him for like 5 minutes like idiots, and finally he looks over and he's like, what the looking at? Screams it at us and we're like, oh, nothing, Mr. Jackson, sir. But yeah, I mean, like, they're just people.
Yeah, but if you're like, again, you're distracting when you're Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
Because what were those questions on the tone scale drill? What's the most obvious thing about me?
And then you're supposed to come up with some of your own.
Yeah.
When I went tone scale spotting, I went to, and I, again, in full Class A.
And that's the dressy, fancy Sea Org uniform.
It's the one that really looks like a Navy uniform, like a Navy ceremonial uniform.
Yeah.
Right. But that's not whites. And so I went to Hollywood High School because I thought, okay, I'm going to get these teens and randos opinions. Okay.
In your Sea Org uniform.
My Sea Org uniform. And so my first question, what's the most obvious thing about me? And they're like,
you're dressed like a sailor.
Right. And I asked a bunch of other questions. And then my last question, I was like, how do you feel about premarital sex? And most of the kids right off the bat were like, that's disgusting. Why would you ask a kid about that? Who are you? And I was like, okay, let's just pause. You know what premarital means? And they were like, no. And they would give me some like idea. And I was like, well, premarital, pre means before, and marital means marriage. So the question I'm asking you is, do you believe in sex before marriage? And they're like, oh, hell yeah. Yeah. But it was a good exercise because this proved to me at the time that word clearing was correct, that when you had a misunderstood word, your response was anger and vitriol and other things. And that was the first time I was confronted by an actual gay person in the wild in my uniform. And he was like, why does your religion hate gays? And I was like, what? What are you talking about? And he's like, you don't know anything about your religion, do you? And I was like, I do too. Like,
Yeah.
You be quiet. And it was just like, this guy was like, you're gross, like he just came up to me and told me what was what, like, and I felt so ashamed and naked and just sort of like destroyed in that moment. Little tiny 18-year-old me in that stupid uniform, just like, oh, this guy was mean.
Yeah. That definitely, that's an opportunity to spot some different tone levels.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you saw in the way that like how it's hard for them to do those drills in Scientology? Was there anything else in the way that the celebrities were treated or their experience at Celebrity Center that struck you, especially once you were out as, yeah, that's not right, or you're not going to find that someplace else?
Well, there was definitely rules around recruiting celebrities, talking to them about the Sea Org, in particular, talking to them about your experience as a Sea Org member. You were never in any way, shape, or form supposed to like influence their opinion about the Sea Org.
In good or a bad way? At all.
Especially in a negative way. Like you could talk about it. You had to walk like a fine line, because anytime you start talking positively about the Sea Org, you're basically doing a recruitment, right? It's not, nobody ever just walks around the Sea Org going, I love it here. This is like the best life. Wow, look at us. Another 12-hour workday. High five. Like, we're not doing that. No, nobody celebrate. The only time we celebrate being in the Sea Org is Sea Org Day. That's, you guys, we have 2 celebrations you get to have per year as a Sea Org member that are legit parties for, by, and because of the Sea Org. Sea Org Day and the Bosun's Party. And that is it. Canceled. Yeah, the Bosun's Party was canceled because we would get real wild and
people would get a little freaky.
Minors alcohol.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was engaged in the Sea Org drinking at those things. Oh yeah. Was there, with the way that you have this mix of these celebrities or people of influence, and then you have these Sea Org members who are looking cute and all that. Was there was fraternizing a problem between public and Sea Org members?
If you became friends with a celebrity or somebody, a high-powered Scientologist, you were in deep doo-doo. Deep doo-doo. I have multiple examples of that. I had a student who was very rich. She was like, money would just fall out when she would cough. You just can't. And on my 21st birthday, she decided to cater in for the entire Department 11 this like dinner. She had it brought in by her staff, and she brought it down. She came into crew dining. Okay. Like, as you know, there's no public going into the crew dining at, in PAC. Okay. So crew dining in Celebrity Center was down in the basement, right near where you could go to the security and stuff. But it was near also, if you went down those stairs and you went to the right, you're going towards the PURIF. If you went to the left, you're going towards all of the Sea Org stuff. So she just brought all the stuff in, sat it down. It was like this big, huge, like full. She knew that I loved El Pollo Loco. So she brought in all this El Pollo Loco and had her somebody bring it in. And like, I cannot tell you, the CO, Dave Pettit, and the president,
commanding officer.
Yeah. And the president came in and they were like, happy birthday. And I was like, yeah, I told her not to do anything. I'm so sorry. And then she came in, talked to Dave and the president personally, was like, you guys don't give her any guff about this. I did it. She told me not to specifically. And I'm like, you're not making it any better. I'm making this worse. But I'm just smiling like, ah. And then as she's walking out, she shakes my hand and she's like, I love you. You have helped me so much. I want you to have a happy birthday. And as she leaves, she did like the mafia handshake and there was $100 bill in my hand. And I looked at it and I was like, oh, like put that away real quick. Yeah. So I had things like that when I was word clearing Catherine Bell. She was like, what shoe size are you? And I was like, what? I'm a 9. And she goes, oh, me too. Perfect. I have a contract with Nike and I have like all these extra shoes. Let me bring you some. That was a flap. Mm-hmm. She bought me a dictionary as a present. Flap. Giovanni Ribisi liked to bump Rage Against the Machine and Korn while we were driving to the place we needed to go. Flap, because we were hanging out. Anytime you became personable with people, it was a flap. Like Nancy Cartwright, because I word cleared her, personally requested.
She's the voice of Bart Simpson, for people who don't know.
Bart Simpson was like, oh, I need you to tutor my kids. And I was like, Nancy, we can't. I'm a word clearer in the course room. Like, no, I've already talked to the president. It's fine. I'm going to pay for the word clearing hours. And then you just go to my house. Here's the address. And, I need you to get my kids through their schoolwork. So then as a SEERG member, I was going to Nancy Cartwright's house.
I can't believe they allowed that.
Yeah, because she's Nancy Cartwright.
So they just don't say no to celebrities is what I'm hearing.
No, if the celebrity is like, when Kirstie Alley was dating James, oh, damn it, what's his last name? She was dating this little boy toy, James. He was having a problem falling asleep during films because, let's face it, they're terrible and they're boring. So I had to go to PAC because they had a film we didn't have and watch it over and over and over with him to watch him during the film to see what point he was falling asleep so I could take notes and find out what words he possibly wasn't understanding.
Yeah.
And now this guy, again, he was funny, James. He was like, oh, what size pants are you? I was like, I'm an 8. He goes, oh, you know what I've discovered is that women's pants are cut much better. This is before skinny jeans, guys. Okay. You got to understand it was the 90s. There were no skinny jeans. And so he was wearing these like women's pants because they were skinny jeans on him. Right. She's like, oh, I have some. I'll bring them to you. Like, just like he also introduced me to his good friend, Marty. And I was like, who's Marty? He's like, oh, Marty's the best. You got to meet Marty. Marty. And I'm thinking, who is Marty? And one day we're going into the president's office and who do I see standing there was like a Dutch door into the reception of the president's office, but Marty Rathbun. Oh. And I'm like, now you guys have to understand, Marty Rathbun was like the scariest person alive in the Sea Org at the time because there's David Miscavige and then there was Marty. Okay. Mm-hmm. So I see before me, and the second scariest person was his wife, Mr. or Mrs. Rathbun. Okay. Anne Rathbun was the scariest person ever. So I see Marty ahead of me and I'm thinking, oh my God, this is Marty. And James is like, Marty, what's up? And I was like, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. And he's like, Marty, I want you to meet my good friend, Nora. Marty, Nora. And I'm shaking Mr. Rathbun's hand. I still call him Mr. Rathbun because he still freaks me out from Sea Org days. And he's just looking at me and he's like, you don't get to call me Marty. And I was like, I know, sir. I know. Thank you. Yeah. I love you. You're the best. He got mad at me one time though, because he came down unannounced to run a security drill on our security to see how secure we were. And he dressed himself up as a hobo. And he was like pushing a cart by the loading dock area outside. And I went to go throw away a bunch of stuff. And I saw him and I recognized him like immediately. And I was like, hey, Mr. Rathbun, how you doing? And he was like, yes. I was like, oh. And then I ran inside. I didn't run because I didn't want him to know I was going to go tattle on him. But I walked inside and I went to security. I was like, Marty Rathbun is dressed like a homeless person. Please get your shit together. And they went out and he sees me later in his hobo garb. He's like, you ratted me out. They didn't even notice. I was like, and then, James Richards, the security chief. No, sir, we totally saw you. We were just, we were observing.
I love that. It's just so typical of that environment. I'm going to throw a couple questions at you. We know this one, I already know. Cubana Chica, did you have to look up curse words in the dictionary?
Yes, for foreign language people. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
And you even had like, what was that dictionary where people would just add definitions to it? Did you have one of those in the course room? I feel like it was back before
That
they
was
came up with.
Yeah, that was when they were still working on the dictionary, which
Yeah.
has still never come out. It's still never
That's
come out
right.
because they got rid of that project and just put in appendixes in back.
Mhm,
When
mhm,
you're not even supposed to
mhm.
use appendixes, guys, that's out tech. Moving on.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
get me started.
Exactly. Let's see. Carolyn says, Natalie's a Pollyanna on YouTube, but a truck driver at home. Actually, I am still a Pollyanna at home, just one with a really nasty mouth on her.
Right, I feel like that too. I'm an eternal optimist,
Yeah.
but I just, I say the F word a lot. So
Yeah, it's still the same. It's like watching, I don't know, watching your grandma cuss or something. It's
right.
just, I'm still the same
I
person.
want my grandkids to call me Yaya, which is Greek for grandma, and then I'm gonna be that wild old lady in an Adidas tracksuit, and purple hair, and just driving a fast car.
Mhm,
It'd be
mhm,
rad.
mhm. That's true. That's true. Crazy John T. Since you all are influencers now, can you get back into CC? You should at least try.
I mean, we do have combined. Nat and I have more viewers than like Laura Prepon. So sure, let's do it. Let's
Yeah,
go in
why
there.
not? And that is such a funny thing. I've been here on YouTube for, I mean, like December, a hot minute, it seems at times. And I am such a fangirl. Like I'll see even like I fangirl over mods. I mean, just
Yeah.
and then when I met people in Florida who were excited to meet me, and then I was like equally excited to meet them.
Right.
It's this really weird place to be in, whereas I'm going around going like, oh my God, that's so and so, or to meet people in real life that you just see in the chat. And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so and so. And then, then you kind of get to put the pieces together. But I love that. I always feel like I am the biggest fangirl. So I think that should be a thing. I mean, today with social media being what it is, I would think that Celebrity Center would have, of course. Are there any,
Ooh,
influencers that are
influencers.
Scientologists? Because
I'd
think
have
about
to
it.
look into that. There must be. There must be because but again, this is like what we've said against about the protesting, right?
Yeah.
Scientology, even Celebrity Center is not in the year 2024.
No.
Right? Because they want to control the media that every Scientologist is intaking at all times. And it is very much like you don't read the paper, you don't watch the news, you don't follow anything but what they tell you. They will even tell you who to vote for because this person is friendly to Scientology, and they'll put out just kind of a notice like, hey, like when I was on Training at Flag, they were like, hey, if you guys are registered to vote, we can't tell you who to vote for, but we really like Joe. He's been, helping us out. So if you are voting and you also like Joe, like we do, then maybe you vote for him. But, we can't influence your vote.
Yeah,
You're just like,
but
what?
here's how maybe you could do that. Here's how you could make it work. Oh my
I feel like
goodness.
crap for being a registered Democrat. I can't even tell you. They were like, oh, really? Really?
But they can't tell you, but they're not
No, but they
supposed
can't
to
tell you who to vote for. I mean, I only got to vote in one election prior to that, and I voted for Clinton because I was, 18. I was like, I get to vote for the first time. Yay. And I didn't like, GW. I mean, gross.
Oh God.
And I got a lot of poop for that until his Secretary of State, stuck up for Scientology in Germany, and told the German chancellor to go bite her,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Debbie with an I is asking, why is no one talking about J-Lo's dad? Well, what would you like to talk about J-Lo's dad?
I
I
never
don't
met
know
him
a lot about
as far
it.
as I know. Yeah. I don't know that I ever met him. He is an enigma. Like, what's interesting to me is that J-Lo claims, and this is her claim publicly, that her dad was a Scientologist.
Yeah,
and
for
that's
20
just
years.
his thing. And he never talked to her about it, which you and I know is total malarkey.
Yeah, that would not have happened.
There's a 0% chance that he wasn't using the vernacular, that he wasn't in some way trying to influence her life with Scientology constantly.
Yeah.
There's no way that was happening. And then, of course, he rode to privilege in Scientology by being like, well, my daughter's Jennifer Lopez. So I think you're going to do this for me.
Yeah, but he wasn't somebody, I don't remember ever hearing stories about him or him being somewhere or anything like that. I didn't know Jennifer Lopez's dad was a Scientologist till I had left Scientology.
Yeah, I didn't. I was unaware of that too. That was like an ultra secret. And J-Lo's in her own ball of craponomica right now because of P. Diddy. And a lot of people have asked me, well, like, what about Leah because of that? Like Leah had gotten pictured with P. Diddy a couple times at like his white party or like something else. And that's like saying everybody who was ever on a red carpet with Danny Masterson is also somebody who engages in essay. That's a bridge too far, right? Because when you go to these red carpet things and you're taking photos and you're glad handing, that's part of your job as a celebrity, to stand there and pose with people who are part of the same company as you or have the same representation as you and things like that, right? Which is something you and I, we don't have to engage with anyone that we don't want to, because we're not represented by agencies. We are independent. We're truly independent. Even though people like to lump SPTV all as this like group, we are really just a bunch of independent people who are like, this is our jam. We're going to talk about this.
Yeah,
right?
that logo gets passed around like the town bicycle. Everybody gets a ride.
Boom.
Just like, you want to put it on there, put it on there. Sure. How was it for celebrities at Celebrity Center when it comes to, you cannot drink alcohol within 24 hours of being on course or getting auditing? Was that something that they were actually held to as well? I was always curious about that.
Very strict.
Okay.
Very strict, because we wanted the celebrities to be clean. And if they did show up and they had, they went to an after party or some crapola, they would be in ethics the whole day riding OWs, but like a private ethics, where they were just like handheld, like, so let's just not do that again because that's bad. Like what's the teacher's name who's now like talking to all of like celebrities and political people like they're her students, like they're her kindergarten students. She's like, catch a bubble, just talking to people. But yeah, I mean, like that's how they were talked to when something bad happened, unless it was something the church considers unforgivable, like Catherine Bell being photographed making out with a woman on the beach in Mexico. Unforgivable. James Barber going to jail for, graping underage people, front row at an event.
Yeah, let's just pull that picture up. Yeah. Let's put him right there. And asking, people don't talk enough about how much Scientology discriminates on the basis of physical appearance. Are you aware of eating disorders being discussed in auditing ethics?
I mean, definitely amongst staff, but it was like, it was like a, like in the Sea Org, and I don't know if this is true for you guys, but anything having to do with your first dynamic, you as a human being, was already considered out of ethics. Like that was already,
to not be paying attention to yourself.
Oh, you didn't brush your teeth for 3 weeks and now you have a cavity. Sounds like I'm a you problem. Anything having to do with you were supposed to be OT and just make it go right, and that was it. So if you had an eating disorder, but you had it under control, good, because now you're skinny. Like for a while, because I was so sleep deprived, I used to buy those packets from 7-Eleven called Energy Now. And it had like taurine and all of these herbs that was basically like an herbal cocaine mix, guys. And I would down that and then just be like on job. Okay, everybody, and just like totally coked out of my head on herbs. It's like basically the same stuff they put in energy drinks right now, which is why I know how dangerous they are, because my heart would be beating like 200 beats per minute and my face would just be flushed and I'd be like, I am ready to go, just like total insane person. And I was just not sleeping. So I was taking that stuff so that I would be awake and I would, be able to do my job all day after getting like 3 hours, 4 hours of sleep, per day. So things like that are okay because it's natural. That's
right. As long as it's natural, it's okay. It's okay. It's
okay as long as it's natural cocaine and not that fake nasty stuff.
That's right. This is a great question from Cricket. Did they make the guys lose weight too, or just body shaming women?
I think there was only there was a couple guys that I knew of that had to lose weight. Jason, I'm trying to remember his name. He was big guy, used to be security chief of CC and then got busted down to tech.
Yes.
He had red hair, and his wife's name was Nora, but not me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so he was a big guy, guys. He was like 6'6", 250, 270, just a big, not like fat, but just a big guy. Yeah. And at one point they were like, listen, if you're going to be dealing with celebrities in the public courtroom, you gotta lose some weight. So they put him on that diet and he literally almost died. Like, he lost so much weight. He looked like a skeleton. Wow. And this is a big guy. And then he also, Jason Mayfield, that was his name.
Mayfield. Yes.
Yeah. And his wife's name was Nora. And so that was confusing to people. They'd be like, you guys are married? And we'd be like, hell to the nah. No, thank you. Do you see how enormous this man is? No, thank you.
Yeah. No.
No, thank you. But yeah, he's even on Leah's hate site as a family friend. Jason Mayfield is going to tell all the dirt about all of Leah's relatives and her, about how sad he is that she's now an enemy of Scientology. Like,
so he's still in?
Up.
He's still in?
Yeah. He's still, if you go to Leah's hate website, which I don't ever go to these things, guys. What's it called?
I have no idea.
Here we go. You just have to Google Leah Remini, Scientology hate website. Leah Remini, the facts.
Okay, so I see it.
So
here?
Yeah, there's videos. Can we just go to the video section? Is this it? No.
But he's on there, point being.
Yeah, he's on there. Oh, here's video section. Here we go. There's one from Marty, of course. Clark, that guy was such a little toady. Shut up. Julianne, like, please, what a clout chaser. Also this other woman Willow. Do you remember Willow? If you go to the video section.
Familiar.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here, can I share my screen? Can I share these? We're equal now, I think. Let's see. Let me see if it's going to let me do it. Oh, it's going to let me do it. All right, here we go.
Oh, okay. I see it.
So here's Marty.
Mm-hmm.
It was a classic troll job, right? He's saying that, it is a whole thing. The exit was staged by Marty. This is Clark. I'm sure you knew Clark. He was like, in the Sea Org for a hot minute. Then there's Julianne Williamson. What a lame-o. Do you remember
Willow? Yes.
They got Willow Bellotti to be like, a friend from Leah's youth recounts, she had little acting success. Are you joking me?
What?
She paid for everything. This is another mom who's there. Eric, he's an actor, blah, 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 blah. Then we have this family of friend. I don't even know who that is. I know her. That's Sarah Pace.
Wow.
Do you remember Sarah Pace? And then we have, more people. Michael, he's a photographer. He's a nobody. Childhood friend, former friend. Like, none of these people were Leah's friends. There's her dad. They have a whole series with her dad. It's like gross. Did they take Jason off? Oh, this is the manager. A building inspector. They got a building inspector
to talk crap.
Here's Jason.
Oh my gosh, he's all grown up.
Leah was a non-changing pattern. If she was doing well, things were fine. You wouldn't necessarily have to worry about it that much. But when things weren't going well in her life, she would blame other people, and she would
my gosh, Jason,
go after them and verbally.
This is Jason tired.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. He used to be like, we were kids then, but just kind of smiling, and he reminded me of one of the kids from Stand By Me. Just kind of going along.
His mom was hilarious. His mom was this teeny tiny Scottish woman. Like, she was barely 4 feet tall. Like, I'm not even joking. She was tiny. And she talked like this. Jason.
Yeah, I never knew.
And he was
I
so
never knew
scared
the
of her,
mom.
guys. He was just towering over. Yes, mom. How could what?
Oh my gosh, that is like disturbing. It's
Yeah,
so
I mean,
weird to see them grow
watching
up
that
to do
video from Jason, I was like, "Are you joking me? Like, give me a break." That they put the fact, guys, that they put a Sea Org member.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely serious hostage video energy. Absolutely. You can tell.
What Sea Org members are going to be there to say Shino? Like Jason must have been in so much ethics trouble that they had to like do the hostage video with him.
No, that was really bad. That's
Like
really bad.
and that was a gold shoot, guys, because you can see in the background he's at Celebrity Center. He's in. It almost looks like they put him in L. Ron's office.
Oh my goodness. All right, we got to wrap up. I'm going to be doing another video soon with Erin at Growing Up in Scientology. This is fascinating. We could talk all day on this one. We'll just have to do more and more. And everybody tell us your questions, put it in the comments. If you're catching this on the replay, make sure that you comment, tell us what your questions are, because that will help guide. There's so much in Scientology, especially in the world of celebrities, where, as I was talking to Nora earlier off stream, is saying, so much that we have normalized that we haven't even talked about because we don't consider it to be that bad, people would lose their minds over. So let us know, what are your questions? What do you want to know about? What do you want to hear more about? More about this, that's great. So more about like the secret lives of celebrities in Scientology, we can totally get into that more. Oh, yeah. But Nora, I love doing this with you. I'm so happy you've gone full time and made that jump.
Well, and don't forget to like and subscribe to both of us, please, because that helps the algorithms give us more to do.
That's right. Please do, everybody. Make sure that you do that and stay tuned. If you can catch, I know in 45 minutes, I'm doing a video with Erin. If you can't catch it live
today, guys,
catch it on the replay. That's right. It's like, I can't remember the last time I did 3 videos in one day, and it's been super busy in between. I barely made it onto this one.
You got a real life.
I know. I was like taking care of I had to have one of my, the agent in our office came to my house, thank goodness, because I just have not been able to get there. So I thought, you know what, I just got to start doing more at home with other people and doing the other work stuff, but it is working out.
I feel you.
Thank you, Nora, for rolling with me and being here. Everybody else, thank you so much for being here and all of your support. And like she said, make sure you subscribe and like on your way out, everybody.
Please.
And I hope y'all can get out there and enjoy the rest of the day and have a wonderful cult-free day.